There are three different types of distressed notes. The first is a note that isn't distressed at all. It's a distressed seller. And that one is a great example, is a 43-unit apartment building in downtown Phoenix in a great corridor. And it's appraised at $2.5 million, so they're low-end units. The borrower owes $1,950,000. He's current. He's paying 7%. Of course, the tenants are servicing his debt, and yet we're buying the note for $1,000,001. And so now we have a choice of just letting that note ride, and we'll collect 7% on the $1,950,000, which is a 12.5% return. And then at payoff, we'll take our $850,000 jump, which will get us to the 50% IRR. Or we can go to the borrower immediately and say, you owe $1,950,000, go find an equity partner, go find another bank. We'll give you a $200,000 discount if you pay us off in the next 60 days. And then take our $600,000 or $700,000 lift in 60 days and then roll to the next one. Now the last option really isn't an option, is he may default and then we may end up owning that apartment complex. And so that's how you have to underwrite these opportunities, is again, what am I into this on today's dollar? And I get really frustrated when people say, hey, I'm buying this on 20 cents on the dollar. Well, they're buying it on 20 cents of 2005's dollar. So we're targeting things that are 40 to 50 cents on today's dollar. And it could be a 90% discount on what the bank is losing, but that doesn't matter to us. That's how we go into each deal. That's our stopgap, and if we're not comfortable and really excited about doing that, then we wouldn't buy that note. Because at the end of the day, when you're buying distressed notes, that's probably your most common scenario. It just, in this case, this one was current. There's another condo complex in Tempe. It is a little higher end. They average about 1,600 square feet. The bank is owed $6.5 million on them. They are right in the lake corridor, if anyone knows Tempe, right around the corner from Arizona State and all the really high-end retail, beautiful spot. Bank is owed 6.5. Our bid is $2,050,000. We're going to own those units for about $150,000 each. We feel today the market for those units is about high 300s. However, our plan would be to immediately start marketing them at about $299, blow them out in 12 months, and in essence double the investor's money. One last scenario, and then you can ask all the questions, and I hope you have a lot. The last scenario would be buying notes on raw ground. Again, raw ground is what's depreciated the most for obvious reasons. There's one note where these gentlemen paid $13.5 million for it 2.5 years ago. It's 80 acres off of Interstate 10, about 7 miles west of Phoenix. So it's an infill piece. There's houses all around it.
Goodyear?
Well east of Goodyear. Mm-hmm. It's still the city of Phoenix. And they paid $13.5 million. It appraised for $16.5 million when they bought it. And we have a bid at $3.6 million. Now, the new appraisal shows $11 million retail, and if we want to sell it immediately, $8.5 million. I think that 11 seems a little high to me, but I don't disagree with the 8.5. That's one where investors may want to buy and immediately flip. It's probably one I would suggest that if we stayed patient and sat on it, went and lowered the taxes or disputed the high taxes and sat on it for at least a year and then sold, we would have capital gains income and probably, or at least possibly, an even bigger pop, because right now the only buyers out there are absolute bottom feeders. And so $8.5 million is probably a bottom feeder price, but if we wait, we probably get into the 8 figures. So those are the types of scenarios we're targeting.
And this would be a separate LLC that they'll put in place, an entity that they'll put in place that our clients will be buying into, and we'll own those 4 or 5 or 6 properties depending on how the bids go.
Our typical investment size is $500,000. Anyone who invests through Cornerstone is allowed $50,000 or up.
Would each of these be a separate, considered by you to be a separate investment, or are you putting them in some entity?
Yeah, we have an LLC formed, and that entity will own the 5 notes or properties.
Got it, got it.
And
So you have a little diversification.
And will also be quite staggered. Now, the longer term one, there's probably only going to be one longer term, and that's still short. But I expect as we start taking these down, monies will be dispersed over 6 months, and then 9, and then 12, and we may last 18 to 24 months.
And as they sell, they'll disperse the money. There won't be any reinvesting. Now, there may be another LLC, another 90, 120, 180 days from now where they do the same kind of thing. But in this case, as the properties sell, we'll just disperse the
And
money.
we're specifically targeting the short-term pops right now. We feel like that's where the best value is right now. The ones where it doesn't matter if the market even slips a little more because our profit's built in today and we can come in, sell, and get out. Arcus will have a 2% administration fee, and that'll cover our costs or most of it. From there, as we sell, of course, investors will get their money back first, and then we'll be splitting 60-40.
And actually, there's a preferred return of 6%. So you get your money back, preferred return of 6% per year, and then 60-40. You know, have we hit bottom? Who knows? We don't know. Andrew doesn't know. And if we haven't, that just means that, 90 days, 120 days, we have this same kind of discussion, and we've got better deals at that point, and that's fine. We've got a long-term perspective. All of our clients know this. We take a very long-term perspective of investing and life, but in a sense, a very short-term opportunity here that we think we can buy into and take advantage of. And this window will close. I mean, there's just no question. How quickly it closes, we don't know, but this window is going to close.
And most investors, most sophisticated investors will tell you, I made my money the day of purchase, not the day of sale.
Right.
This is definitely that case.
One of the things to think about too, it's been painful to lose money in the stock market. You're down, maybe 40 or 50%, right? Do you sell now? Well, the question is, do you try to time the market? The answer to that is no in our mind. You don't try to sell now thinking the market's going to necessarily go lower. But you might consider, should I take money even though I'm down 50% and buy into something that I'm buying at 20 cents on the dollar? Is that a fair trade? And so that may be something to think about. We look at that when we look at our investors' portfolio. For those of you who aren't clients, something you might want to just put in the back of your mind is there are opportunities out there, whether it's this or whether it's rental homes that you can buy on the cheap, and maybe gain that money back that you've lost in the market in a much quicker, less emotional way than just crossing your fingers and hoping the stock market comes back.